SIG is one of the most respected companies in America. When it comes to concealed carriers, law enforcement, even branches of our military carry a SIG sidearm. And today, I'm going to lay out all my SIG pistols and tell you which one is the last one I would ever sell. Now, they have a wide variety of different guns that they make, and so as I go along, I will start telling you the pros, the cons of each one, but ultimately, we're going to narrow this thing down to one that I would actually keep. The rest I would sell if I was forced to. Remember, this is just my opinion, and I'd love to hear yours after the video. What's the last SIG you would ever sell? Let's go ahead and get into it. Let me bring in the first one I would sell. This is the P6. I got this thing on a screaming deal. I did a video not too long ago, and man, I was so happy to have gotten this thing. The price point I got it, it's pretty freaking incredible. For a double to single action SIG, I'm impressed. Decocker right there, slide stop. Very little contrast in the sights, but of course, guns like this and decades before this had very little contrast, so it's just kind of a part of it. It's got a really natural feel in the hand, similar to any of your 229s or, maybe even your 226. So it's got that natural feel to it, just like the SIGs of today. The only reason I would really sell it is because of the limited mag capacity. Things have come a long way since this gun came out, and for that reason alone, this would probably be the first one I sell. Plus, it doesn't have a rail or anything. And a lot of the full-size guns, if I'm using it for home defense specifically, I will put a light on it. And this one doesn't have that option. Plus the limited capacity, it'd be the first one I'd sell. The next one I would sell would probably be the M17. Now this is all hypothetical, right? And just trying to think about myself in that situation. I think this would be the one. It's the civilian version of our Army's sidearm, which is really cool. I like the color combo. Of course, that's a request of the Army. It's got the blacked out rear tritium night sights and then that front white dot. The contrast is okay. Not a huge fan of that white dot in there in the front. I prefer the X-ray sights. It is optics ready, and it's going to accommodate all of your magazines that are 17 rounds and larger. You got the rail, of course, and it's a pretty decent option. I just don't know if it does anything better than my other P320s. And it has a safety, which I know is a requirement of the Army, but it's not a requirement of me, and I just don't like it being there. If I were to ever carry this gun, I just wouldn't even engage that at all. That's just my personal opinion. But I think because of that, I'd get rid of it. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't do anything particularly better than my other P320s. Now I have two X macros on the table. I have the original X macro that SIG sent me here. It, of course, has the integrated comp, right? Really nice. They sent me some of their Romeo X sights too, by the way, and I'm excited to use these because they're old red dots. You guys have heard me talk about this before. I was just not a fan. They finally changed a lot of things about these, including the battery. You don't have to take the optic off. It's on the side now. You got these big, nice buttons that you can operate. It's got like the shake away feature, or the motion activated feature is what they call it. It's got a couple of different reticle options in there. Much better sight. So I'm excited to get these out to the range and see how they function. And so the only thing I can say, if I compare this one, right, to, let's say, the TAC Ops version. TAC Ops version has an extended slide release. It's optics ready. It does have a little bit longer barrel, and of course it doesn't have the integrated comp. And then it's got a flared magwell right there. Same magazine, same profile, all the way around. And then you got the standard X macro. This one comes in at a much cheaper price point. It doesn't have the integrated comp. It's still optics ready, X-ray sights, same profile, same magazines, Picatinny rail. So I am really excited to see how this one does compared to the TAC Ops, and then compared to the much more expensive X macro you see right here that does have the comp. Because if it comes down to it, and this one is just as good, maybe a little more felt recoil is what I'm guessing, then I would probably just go with this one. Save a little bit of money. And the X macro for me is a really decent all-around option. let's say this is your only gun and you want to use it for home defense. You maybe want to carry it in the future. Maybe you want to train somebody on it. It does all of those things really well because you have a magazine capacity of 17 rounds. You have a full length grip right here. When you look at the capacity compared to, if you take the magazine capacity and you compare that to something like the Glock 43X, I'm not here to bash on the 43X, but look at that. Look how little difference, little bit of difference there, and you get 7 more rounds in the magazine. It is a really well-balanced gun, and they did this gun right. And so it can do a lot of things really well. I think when it comes to concealed carry, I strictly carry these outside the waistband. That's just like, that's how I like to carry them because, again, it does have a longer grip. But all the way around, the gun just fits the bill for so many different roles. I think it's just a little bit too big for inside the waistband carry. That's the only reason that I'm about to drop the X macros, because for my personal needs, I like to carry inside the waistband, not outside the waistband. And for me, it's just a little bit too big for that role. But man, does it fit a lot of different roles really well. I like the fact that they came out with the cheaper versions, and so now people can get into these things and spend a lot less money than, again, the X macros I've just showed you, the tack offs and all of that. So this is a really well-balanced option. I hate to take it off the table because it fits so many different roles really well. But just for my purposes, I would rather take one of these bigger guns and train somebody on, and I would rather have a gun to carry inside the waistband. So we're going to take the X macros and get them off the table. Now let me butt into the video here really quickly. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. Also, if you want to support the channel further, we are on Patreon, or you can join the channel right here for as little as $1. I'll leave both links in the description. Big thanks to you guys for your support. If you don't want to do that, totally understand. Enjoy the rest of the video. I think the next one I'd get rid of here, and you guys wouldn't be able to tell Mrs. Heckshot, I'd have to do it behind her back, is the 229 Legion. This is one of the first ones that was ever out. It's got the old PVD finish. Held up fairly well. You know, I got a little bit of rust right there. A little bit of surface something going on the decocker. So a little bit disappointing in that regard, but nothing that's ever ruined the gun, right? I mean, it still functions and fires really well. Front and rear slide serrations, the coloration, I mean, it just looks freaking awesome. You got the G10 style grips and the Legion badge and all that kind of stuff. Got a little bit of surface something on here, man. We took it out to the range and we got some rain, and it got inside of my case, and I didn't catch it until late, and so I'm going to have to refinish this gun at some point, which is unfortunate. You see that? Surface rust on the magazine. So I got to get some new magazines too, man. Got a little bit of that on the inside of the mag well. That was one of those unfortunate things that just kind of happened. I didn't catch it until a couple of days later when I pulled the guns out. And anyways, so sad story's over. But they did a lot of really nice things on this gun. But it's got one hell of an incredible trigger. Check this trigger out. It is just buttery smooth. Reset. Right there. Incredible trigger. You do get more rounds in the magazine at 15 compared to the one I just showed you in the P6. So, of course, you have those advancements. And all in all, man, just a fantastic gun. For a 9mm, considering the weight, this particular gun is not optics ready. They have the RX versions out, been out for some time now. But this particular one, I think I'd sell it. I've been leaning towards optics ready pistols now for some time. They are awesome in a variety of different situations. And even though I love these X-ray sights, to me personally, I think I would rather have a striker fire gun with the optic on top. That's just my personal preference there. So for that reason, and again, I couldn't tell Mrs. Heckshot, but I would sell the 229. I'm about to take a P320 off the table, and I think I'm going to do the AXG Legion. Now let me just say, I really like this gun. I got to find a forever optic and just throw it on this one. I've been bouncing around between a couple of different ones, but this has been a fantastic option. It's got the integrated comp like they've been doing. It's part of the Legion series. You see those awesome G10 style grips. It's almost got like a snake scale type of texturing to it. Feels really good in the hand. Love the coloration of it. Skeletonized trigger, striker fired. It's got the X-ray sights. Trigger is awesome. But there's one on this table that I connect a little bit better with, and I'm just purely talking about the way I shoot the guns. And it's expensive, you know, I mean, and so, you know, kind of take that for what it's worth. I mean, you know, everybody has a different budget, but I don't think anybody would argue that this gun is just expensive. And so I shoot this gun fairly well, but I shoot one of these on the table better than I do this one. And literally, I'm almost running out of reasons. And because of that, I would sell the AXG Legion before I sold one of these other two. Now, speaking of these other two, I'm about to get rid of my carry gun here. I've been carrying this one and the Performance Center Shield Plus now for about, I don't know, 3 weeks now when I switched from the regular Shield Plus. So I've been kind of bouncing between the two. I really like this gun. It's optics ready, TIN, gold barrel and trigger, lightning cuts here. You got the integrated comp, the cool slide work that SIG Custom Works does right here, LXG, laser engraved grip. One of the best feeling micro 9s in the hand. It's got a really decent trigger and it shoots incredibly well. I really like this gun a lot. And I think one of its biggest detriments is the price. And I've talked about that before. I just, it's expensive. For an everyday carry, it's expensive. And so what I would say is I would sell this one, right? If I was forced to do this, and I would buy the XL that's still optics ready, get some more magazines, get a nice optic for it, and rock with it like that. That's what I would do, because the XL is the same size, same profile, except you don't get all the fancy stuff that this one has. So for that reason alone, I would sell the P365 Spectra Comp. Now we're left with two P320s. This is I want to say this is my second P320. It was actually. It's the RX version. It's their, what's considered their compact. They used to have a subcompact. I got rid of that gun some time ago, maybe a year or two ago. But it had a shorter grip. It was a 12-round gun. You know, it didn't have the rail. At least one of the grip modules didn't have the rail. I think the small. But it was overall, you know, a pretty decent option. But this one right here, you have 15 rounds in the magazine. You have mag compatibility, you know, with the other bigger magazines, of course. You got the high night sights here. That co-witness with this Romeo 1, which has been a pretty decent SIG optic. I'm not a big fan of some of their red dots, but this one has actually been really good. I think my biggest issue with it is that it takes a 1632, and I always have 2032s on hand, and that's my problem, not the guns, but I wish it took a 2032. But regardless, this has been a really good option. Yeah, I made a smiley face. Yeah, definitely need to get that optic back up and running, but I mean,
still shoots nice.
Yeah, I was about to say, for no porting, no frills, really, still to this day, it shoots really nice. But if you want the ultimate P320, I think the Spectra Comp P320 is that for me. Even better than the AXG Legion P320, and that's saying a lot. You of course have the comp up front, single port comp. You have all the SIG Custom Works stuff they've done on the slide, optic on top, LXG laser engraved grip. One thing I like specifically that they did is they kind of thinned it out in this area and then widened it down at the bottom. So even with smaller hands, this gun fits like a freaking glove. You got the extended magazines, flared magwell, TIN, gold barrel and trigger, and it translates on the range. This thing is an absolute monster. But for the price, I just think I'd rather go with this gun. Because, and here's what I'll say, this gun is obviously better on the range. Remember when I did the Glock one? If you haven't seen that video, check it out. But I talked about how the bigger 47 didn't necessarily translate to a better shooting gun for me. But when I shoot these two guns side by side, I can tell that this one is a much better shooter. But it's not so much better that I wouldn't feel competent and consistent with this gun right here. So if I can keep my confidence, my shot placement is still really good, and I save a ton of money, I think I'd rather sell this gun right here. As much as I love this freaking thing, again, I would take this P320 right here, buy an optic, buy a bunch of magazines, get some ammo, and just run the heck out of it. And I just think it's sized better than this gun. This is a large, honking freaking gun. Again, I love that Spectre Comp P320, but I just think as far as the value and what you get, this right here, my oldest P320 I still have, is probably the last one I get rid of. It fits a lot of different things really well. I say that and I'm hesitant because this video, I'm a SIG fan, right? And I'm not afraid to admit that. So this video was a little bit harder to get through, but I think that's where I stand. I'd love to hear your opinion. If you like this video, again, check out the one I did on the last Glock I'd ever sell. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.